up, get out right out of your bed, that's your quicksand. Getting rid anxiety and head, you can fix it. Rid of stigmas, all of them you said, we ain't listening. Just remember, try to do your best, you can win this. Maurice Benard, State of Mind.
Hi, this is Maurice Benard. And I speak like this because I'm sexy. What can I say today? Listen, if you like what you see, hit the button. We just got to get to the number is 200, and then I'll stop bothering you. I really will, because I know it's like, if you like what you see, you guys already have done enough. I like to go off the cuff somewhat, these introductions, and at the end I go off the cuff for sure. But who I have today is, I guess the word that came to mind was a man of all trades, because this guy does everything. I swear, it's like, it's unreal how much this guy does. He's on General Hospital. That's all cool. He's talented, the whole thing. But I think for me, with this person, and you know, I don't say the name because I like to tease, what he's been through, and we won't get into that till later, is unfreaking believable. Unfreaking believable. And what I love about this person is he does it with class. You know, with me, I go through stuff, obviously very difficult stuff, but I'm kind of like, but Cameron, it just does, fuck, I said his name. That's all right. That's fine. This person is just with dignity, man. Okay, anyway, let me get to him because I enough kissing his ass and the whole thing. Cameron Mathison, how are you, buddy?
What's up, Mo? Good to be here, man. I appreciate that. I appreciate all that a lot. So that means a lot, man.
Well, it's true. You know, I know you won't because you're too humble, but I'll speak for you. No, let me tell you something real quick. It's the same thing I did with Steve, where in this interview today, which it's gonna be either a 2-part interview or a long interview. You're too important not to do that. But with Steve, I said, let me do the talking about certain things, and then you talk about what you want to talk about. If you don't want to talk, you don't talk. But I'm gonna say it. Okay. Anyway.
You know, I'm perfectly comfortable like having you talk about a lot of the things that I've been through, and I'm very open about it. You know, it's been an especially challenging stretch the last, I guess, 4 years in total, but specifically the last couple months. I think it's good to talk about it, man.
Absolutely.
I know we have very, very like-minded processes as how to deal with it and do our best, and also feel the grief and kind of get through it. But I'm here for all of it.
Yes. I want to get into Ryan Lavery.
Oh man, we're going back to your old show.
To my old show.
Yeah.
But because I think we already discussed your whole on the last interview.
Yeah.
Not the one in Graceland, but the one where it was solo with you. We discussed your childhood and all that, so that was all great. But I want to start with Ryan Lavery. What kind of character was it?
Well, I mean, it was so fun. Like, I mean, here's this Canadian kid. I was living in Canada. I just bought like a condo in downtown Toronto, and I visited my friends in New York for a weekend, and I wanted to write off the trip. So I go in and I go see an agent there at like cold call, and the agent was like, "Oh my gosh, wow, you're interesting. I want to introduce you to Judy Wilson at All My Children. She's the casting director, who you know."
No, I don't know.
Oh, you never met Judy? She was there
Maybe.
before you?
No, I think so, yeah.
And so I went, what time? We were supposed to go out and party tonight. Fine. Yes, I'll go and I'll go meet, Judy Wilson and all my children.
Meet? No audition?
No, just meet. Just like, I was just like, okay, I got like, half hour. I'll go knock it out. And then it's going to be with my buddies and we're going to go have a good time in New York City. That's what I was there for. I go in and she's like, I want you to take this cold read. I want you to just take 5 minutes and then I want to just put it on tape and I'm going to show the producers. So I did a cold read. So for people at home who don't know, you get like a few minutes to look over a scene. You obviously don't have it memorized, but you just kind of like reading it. And it's a very spontaneous, very sort of intuitive kind of take on a scene. We did it. We recorded it. I left. And from that cold read, spontaneous moment of me trying to write off a trip to New York, I got a screen test on all my children. The character was not Ryan Lavery. And then I had my shirt off in the screen test and all that stuff, which I should have been a big red flag.
Oh, you had your shirt off at the...
Have you ever seen anybody have their shirt off in a
No,
screen test?
never.
Meanwhile, I was like, sure. Yeah, right.
Right.
I knew at that time I was a super green actor, super new. I knew that, the physical aspect was a big part of kind of trying to sneak into this world of daytime, because some, wouldn't be the first person who wasn't the most seasoned actor, but still was,
Yeah.
So,
If I had your body, I would have done it.
and so they told me to, and I was like, sure. And I booked the role, and then they changed the role to Ryan Lavery, who was a con man initially and super fun.
You got to say Ryan Lavery. But he wasn't that kind of character.
He was sort of at the beginning, but then he became like, he fell in love with this beautiful, beautiful character and actress, Esther Terblanche, who played Jillian. It was a magical time. Who recently passed away.
No.
Surprisingly and sort of shockingly, and but anyway, she's just an incredible human. She was, and there was a magical time. And Danny Cosgrove, who was in that initial storyline in 1997, is now kind of a day player on General Hospital. I don't want to spoil it. I think it's been announced actually. So he's coming in to be on General Hospital too, which is like a full circle.
Wait, Daniel used to be on another soap?
Yeah, well, he was on Guiding Light, and he was on All My Children, and then he was on Beverly Hills, the original Beverly Hills with Jenny Garth and everybody, and like he left the soaps to do that.
I think I didn't
around.
I didn't know him.
Yeah,
And I'm not going to get into what he said to me personally, but I'll kind of tease it, or not tease it, but just give you a little insight. I was working with him, and he came, and I went to the back to get my script, and he goes, "Can I interrupt you?" And he said something about state of mind that was, it moved him and moved me. As a matter of fact, it's funny you're mentioning him because I just wrote him.
really,
I just freaking wrote him, Cameron.
to come on the show.
Yes.
Oh yeah, he'd be a great guest. He's such a
Yeah.
like an amazing guy.
We're talking about the same guy, right?
Well, I mean, if we're not, I'll introduce you to. I don't know. So he's playing like the other congressman. So,
Yeah, that's it.
obviously
That's right.
Drew's a congressman.
That's
he's coming
him.
in as so like Drew's not the
That-
best version of himself, and this guy's
That's
also
it.
not like the most stand-up human.
Because I saw a picture of you two, so that's
Yeah,
it.
yeah. He's a great guy.
So now, you know that I was on All My Children.
Yeah, man. Of course. You kidding me? Dude, that's some good stuff. We sat and talked about that for a long time about the flight out there.
Oh yeah, everything was bad. It
It
was
was all for you. It was just
It was a-
tricky. It was a tricky time for you.
very. It was a year and a half out of the mental hospital,
Right.
so I was kind of I was fragile, and went out by myself. And the funniest thing was I'm waiting to audition, and Steven Schenkel, he's the producer, came past my door with a headshot. And he goes, "We got our guy." And it wasn't me. So I'm auditioning next, and I'm thinking, I ain't getting this one. But I auditioned.
Weird thing for it to have happened.
Yeah, he
As you're
didn't-
about to go into
Yeah,
an audition.
I was right next. Now,
So
You didn't
but
know.
people like just real quick because that's
Yeah.
like when you're in this business and you're auditioning and you're in there with big stars in the room waiting and then you hear the person ahead of you go in and everybody laughs and loves you and they love him and then you come out and then it's your turn and nobody and it's crickets or something like that where they come out holding somebody else's 8x10 like they're saying we got our guy and
Yeah.
now Maurice, it's your turn.
Yeah.
It's a horrible feeling.
Horrible. Now, I will say, because you have to remember, this isn't, well, even me now, I'm nervous, but back then I was petrified. So maybe that took away,
Interesting.
knowing I wasn't going to get it. I went in, I still was, I know, because Lauren Holly said I was so nervous that I was sweating and stuff. But they had me come in for another role,
Yeah.
and then they created the role. So
And how long were you there on
2 years and 2 years. I just had this conversation. They wanted me to sign another contract. I said no.
And that's when you went to back to LA.
After I signed a 3-month contract,
Got you.
but they were pissed at me.
Well, look at you now. Maybe it was a good call. I mean, let's be honest. Yeah. You're doing all right. You're doing all right.
So you did it for how long?
I did. I was on All My Children for 14 years. I had a little break in the
Wait
middle.
a minute.
Yeah, 14. Yeah. I took a little break in the middle when my son was born. And I went to like a quick pilot season. But that's when Kelly Ripa left, Mark Consuelos left, Josh Duhamel left, I left, and some other guys left. And there was like a big void there. So they came back to me and they offered me, because I just had a kid, and they're like, oh, we can get Cameron back. And they offered me a really good deal to come back. And so I went back and I stayed another 7 years. And it was amazing. I loved it. I loved every minute of it. I loved that job. I loved the people. The character was amazing. I'd still be doing it if it was on the air.
So you were there when they got canceled?
Yeah, I was on the show when it got canceled. Yeah.
Give me that whole feeling.
I never believed it was going to happen. We moved
You
from
hear-
New York to
you-
L.A.
Yeah.
because the show was not doing well financially and ratings-wise and everything else, so they were trying to save money. So that should have been a huge red flag.
Right.
And when we got to LA, we were like on a tight budget and everybody's salaries were getting cut and all that. And I still didn't think we were going to get canceled. Just the show had been on
But do you hear about it, right? They're going to cancel us maybe? Or nothing?
Yeah,
Or you
I mean, yeah. And then, but still, it's funny. It's funny because it kind of, this will play into my later stories of things that I've been going through. But there's a part of you where it's like a denial or an ignorance where you just don't believe it. Like it's not something that's been on the air for 42 years that people love, that the whatever, like you're in denial. Like it's not reality that it could kind of go away.
Right.
And so even though you heard the rumors and stuff, it was like, yeah, I've been hearing those rumors for 5 years.
Yeah.
Like whatever.
That's true.
And then there was a big full-on cast and crew meeting on the floor. And I'm like, oh, I got like golf to play or who knows what I had to do. So I got to go. So I went to our executive producer, Julie Carruthers. And I said, listen, I know we got a big meeting, but is there any way that we could just chat now so I don't have to go to the meeting? Like, what's up? What's going on? Like, I didn't think at all. And she's like, no, you got to go. Ooh. And then I was like, really? And she's like, really? And it was just like, and then I knew, obviously.
And how long after that was it canceled?
Yeah, I think it was a few months. I think we had a few months to shoot and like to kind of wrap up. And I remember at the time I was still a correspondent on Good Morning America, so I had let them know that I was available for more full-time stuff, and that was very helpful for sure. Then that's when I started doing Christmas movies and TV movies. At the end of the All My Children run, because I'm starting to kind of make sure I had things in place. I had I had high expenses. I'd been making good money for a long time.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, the main source of my income was going to go away. And so I had to kind of be smart and figure it all out. And I sort of was getting other things in place. Other Christmas movies, Good Morning America, eventually Entertainment Tonight.
Jesus.
And then, I had hosted a Yahoo show. I hosted a bunch of other stuff at that time too.
How did you, first thing I want to say something. They made and they know they did. They made a huge mistake canceling All My Children, One Life to Live. I think it was one of those things where they're like, they didn't know the power of soap opera audience.
I mean, they've tried other things in the
Nothing. And that's why it's difficult to cancel a soap now. Because I think they learned from that. That's my opinion.
It's a big chunk of the audience. And also, it's also, you know, we see how General Hospital's doing it, not only on network, but also streaming. Like, there's revenue internationally. It's a bigger entity than just like, you know, that time slot.
Yeah,
you know? And the fans and the loyalty and
Yep.
You know, what Frank's doing over there to make sure we get new eyeballs on it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I bet you're right. I bet you there's people that absolutely regret
I
it.
felt that years ago, that they know they messed up. So all these Entertainment Tonight. So I knew somebody else that did Entertainment Tonight.
Oh yeah. I think I know who.
And he said it here, so it's not like it wasn't his favorite.
Yeah. Matt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wasn't his favorite.
Wasn't a great fit for him, I don't think.
Exactly. And I love talking about this stuff.
Yeah.
If it's not a good fit for you, it must be difficult as hell.
Yeah.
Many reasons, because the nature of what it is, the pressure, and then interviewing big stars.
The irony is, I thought he did a good job. You know.
Yeah, so did I.
But that doesn't mean that it's easy for you. So yeah, it wasn't a good fit for whatever reasons. I mean, we all got our stuff. For him, for me, and I don't want to speak for him because I think he probably shared why maybe at the time, whatever he's, you know. But for me, it was incredibly exciting job for me, and the people I worked with, I loved. I think initially it was there was a learning curve, and there was a like kind of getting used to it. But I still stay in touch with those people. And some of my best friends are still on that show.
But what about, okay, let me ask
But
you.
it was hard. It was really hard, and I'll tell you why it was hard. It was hard skill set wise. You know, that was my first time really being on a prompter, but being on time to a prompter and being spontaneous. So you got the prompter, you got somebody, you've got to read the prompter, you've only got 15 seconds to get it in. They want you to be spontaneous, they want you to ad-lib, and boom, get to the piece. And it's actually easy to do once you relax and just enjoy. But when you're all tense and new and thing, and you know, once I started working with like Nichelle Turner and Kevin and just kind of chilling out and being me and having fun, it was like easy and great. But it's a hard skill set, very hard skill set.
What is the time
part of it.
to do? You have to do an interview in how much time?
So then the interview side of things. So then you got to learn how to interview properly, which you've obviously done here. But you would agree that doing what you do in 4 minutes or 8 minutes to a huge celebrity who's got his publicists all around him, making sure you ask the right questions. But let's say there's something in your personal life that would be weird if Entertainment Tonight didn't ask about it. So you've got to skillfully weave that in the 8 minutes or 4 minutes when you're talking about their new movie, and you've got to do it in a way that doesn't piss off the publicist and doesn't piss off them. It gets a good sound bite from them and has some fun, and you want to keep it light and then keep it moving. Like, it's an unbelievable training ground, and you see these people like Nichelle and Kevin and the other people that can do it, and they make it look so easy. It takes so much prep to go in to know how to do it so that you kind of skillfully whine and then you're all of a sudden in this personal question and they don't even know it happened and you get a sound bite. Like I remember backstage at the Golden Globes. So then there's the red carpets and then there's the award shows too. So these are
You're making me nervous right now.
These are all components of the show that you got to learn if you're coming in, right?
Yeah.
And I was backstage at the Golden Globes for ET, and it was a really nice opportunity because they could have had a lot of their other talent doing it, right? But they asked me to do it this particular year. I think it's the only year that they asked me to do it. And it was the year that Leo was winning everything. Leonardo DiCaprio was winning everything. And you got to be really, not sure I'd ever interviewed him before. I don't think I had. And he had just won the Golden Globe. And so he was making his rounds. And you still don't know if they're going to come to everybody, right? But Entertainment Tonight, obviously. Usually they come to ET. He was coming. Now, that was the year in the audience, Mo. That was the year when he bumped into when Lady Gaga bumped into him, and he kind of gave like a weird he wasn't doing anything. He just was kind of like. He probably just looked, but it looked like he was giving her a little shade. And your reaction to her, can you imagine? Your reaction to Lady Gaga is trending.
God. Oh, Lord. That's trending, huh?
That's trending, yeah. You see how quick it happens.
I just didn't know what was passing me. That's all. I was like, oh.
Yeah, right.
I'm sure he wasn't. No. But it looked like it, and of course the internet picked up on it. And it became a meme instantly.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm backstage. He just won. And I'm backstage, and E.T. wants me to ask him about the meme, and it's Leo. And he just won, and it's like, how do you ask about that in this moment? So what I did is I had the meme on the table on my phone playing on repeat. And I didn't even bring it up. He comes up, and I'm like, congratulations, Leo, let's talk about this. It's incredible. And he's there with the incredible director whose name is, I can't remember. And he sees it, and he's like, what's this? I was like, oh man, you didn't see that? It's the meme of when Lady Gaga bumped into you on the thing. And so and then he was like, and he picked up, and I got the bite. Like I got that moment of him seeing it and reacting to it, which I could never have asked about.
No.
Because you don't ask that to Leonardo DiCaprio, really.
Right.
But it still happens. So it's moments like you got to get like creative in the moment, figure stuff out. And it was like that every day. And you got to
Every day?
Well, things like that every day. You had interviews almost every day, interviews almost every weekend, traveling to London, to New Zealand.
No.
I traveled 236 miles, 236,000 miles in 1 year. 236,000 miles in 1 year. It was tons of travel. And super exciting and amazing and doing cool things and going to Paris and going to New Zealand and going to, Scarlett Johansson on set in New Zealand and Marvel on the set of Marvel in the jet in London with Chris Hemsworth and Robert Downey Jr. and doing amazing things. But it's very taxing. It's very, very hard. And I don't think I knew how to say no to some things and maybe have a little bit of balance because I think it wore me down a little bit, and but I loved it, so I kept saying yes, and I do it.
So
again.
when you
I
were
would do
on,
it again in a heartbeat.
you were on the jet with Chris Hemsworth and Robert Downey Jr. Cool guys.
Super cool guys. You know what it's like to do you're on set and you're shooting all day, and there's a news crew that wants to get an interview from you in the middle of your day.
Right.
It's not your favorite, I bet.
No.
It's not my favorite either.
No, it's not. I hate
I'm that
it.
guy. I was that guy. So they're there shooting these 15-hour, 18-hour days on a Marvel movie, which are probably way longer than our days.
Yeah.
And they had this guy, at the time it was Good Morning America, on set. So they were very friendly and kind, but I could,
you could tell they're tired and
they
really
it's
don't.
It's like a tough deal. It's like on-set visits are tough. They're tough because you're as a talent, as you know, because these people are waiting for you. You're waiting hours and hours, and they put it off, and then you're like, okay, they'll do it at lunch.
I get
and
you.
Like, oh no, they
get you.
need their lunch. They're going to do it on their next break, and then I could be there for 6 hours just waiting, for
6
8 minutes. Yeah.
For 8 minutes.
Yeah. For talking to them.
Now, what if it goes over 8, or what if it goes over 4?
Well,
They cut
it
it.
depends. If they're in a good mood, they'll let it go longer. If the publicist is being tight and stuff, then they'll pull them away, and you're always respectful of them, and it's.
Do they tell you what to say?
E.T. would have very, very specific questions and ideas, but then, yes, of course, you would want to bring in your own stuff, just like you probably write a list of questions here, maybe. But then in the moment, you're like, oh, I got to ask more about that.
Has there ever been someone you thought was going to be nice and great and wasn't?
Yeah. Yeah. There was a few. And you never know what they're going through in their life.
So you thought that just by their personality and whatnot, you thought, well,
I couldn't wait to talk to them.
And then they just disappoint.
Right. Yeah.
But do you chalk it up as maybe that's just them, or do you feel that energy?
For sure. Yeah, maybe if they're tired, they've been doing this all day. Maybe, I'll say one story.
Yeah.
This is an easy one because he wouldn't care less that I would be talking about it. So I'm a big fan of a band named Led Zeppelin. They're like a
I love Led Zeppelin.
So I'm covering the Grammys and the red carpet. I think it was for Good Morning America, actually, not E.T. But And Robert Plant is nominated for a Grammy with somebody, I can't remember who, and he's walking down the red carpet, and he's like, he's my guy, like Robert Plant.
I
lead singer of
know.
Led Zeppelin.
Yeah.
And I'm wearing a tux, and I look all fancy, and I'm like ready to go, and this is Robert Plant, rock and roll legend.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I see him like rocking the like he's not really stopping and talking to people. I'm like, Mr. Plant, Mr. Plant. And I even step over the little rope.
No.
And I'm, Mr. Plant, do you have a second for Good Morning America? I'm a huge fan. And literally, if you're me, okay, if you're me, this is Plant. This is Plant to me. Like, so you're me, I'm Robert
Right.
Plant. You know, and he's calling him, and he goes like this. He goes like this. He goes like he turns away.
Wow.
He just gives me the one up and down, and it's like, and turns away. Because if I was a beautiful woman,
Oh yeah, for sure.
or whatever, like but it was like, and it broke my heart. I was like, oh,
The up and down.
up and down. Check me out, being like this, like clean cut kid in a tux, and thinks like he's a Led Zeppelin fan.
Yeah.
Really?
Exactly. Now here's an easy one. The opposite of that. Somebody you thought was going to be mean or not nice and ended up being just the greatest.
Yeah, definitely. Lots of those.
Probably
not that necessarily I thought they were going to be mean, but you'd heard that they could be a difficult interview.
Yeah.
Some people are very, very closed off, and they're careful about these interviews because we're always looking for something personal or whatever. I could do a list of them, but one of the ones that stands out is Scarlett Johansson, who. I think was sometimes notoriously a little bit, like back years ago, a little bit tougher to interview. And I don't know if it was just, things changed in her life and she was, more open to talking, or whether I like to think that we had a good dynamic and she was super friendly and fun and, and because of that, I got to interview her often, which was really fun for me. Jason Bateman, who can be notoriously tough interview. He's but so funny, and I think he just felt like my pure fandom for him.
Yeah,
and how I was trying to be quick with him and try to keep up with his condescending humor.
Great actor.
And he kind of I think he enjoyed that and had I think he was probably ultimately making fun of me a little bit, but at the same time it was really funny and fun. I had a really good time with him and Jennifer Aniston, who I did not think was going to be tricky because she's such a sweet human. But I really enjoyed every time I got to talk to her. And I was, my all-time celebrity crush is Halle Berry.
Oh, yeah.
So I was just super nervous. Like, I don't really get nervous, but I got nervous with her, and she was so sweet. And she could tell I was, like, in love with her. And she just was, like, kind and being, like, almost, you know what I mean? Almost like, okay. Sweet.
I get you. I get you. Yeah.
So
calm down.
That,
calm down.
It's okay.
Like a puppy?
Yeah, it's okay, sweet. You know what I mean? Like that kind of a vibe.
So I'm going to say, for me, one of the reasons that I believe you're so good at what you do is because you can show realness out of, and I don't think you have nerves.
I don't get nervous often.
No, because you're born that way. Let me explain. I'm going to say it again on State of Mind because I know I've said it all the time, but it's fascinating to me. I've interviewed a lot of people, and I went through. I was thinking about things, and because I've been working on trying not to care what people think, and the people who care what people think mostly are mentally ill. The people who don't care aren't mentally ill. So my wife doesn't get, not mentally ill. My son, I can go down the line. Frank Grillo, who was here.
Yeah, of course.
He said, you care about, I don't give a shit what
He
people.
probably less than anybody.
Right.
I don't know him, but.
But I think you don't care what people think.
I'll tell you
But you seem like you would.
I mean, here's the difference.
What is it?
I care about people a lot.
I know that.
I don't necessarily care about what people think about me. Do you know what I mean?
You're born that way.
But I'll say that it's gotten a lot healthier as I've gotten older and in a way taken myself less seriously. Like, not that I don't care about myself and try to push myself and be the best version I can possibly be, but it's not like this obsessive sense of self-concern and this exaggerated sense of self-importance has lessened through the years, where it's just okay. Like, I am who I am. I try to be the best version of myself, and it's not always the case. Sometimes I suck. And sometimes I'm really like, I do a good job. And I try to learn from the times where I could be better and try to, like, you know, appreciate the times where it's been good. And people's feedback, this is the way I try to think about it when I'm in my wise mind, is if they say something to me that's a criticism or something like that, that's true, I should thank them. Like, if they say something to me that's a criticism that I can work on, if it lands on me in a way, if I'm really honest with myself, all right, that's good to hear. Because you know what? I kind of see what they're saying, and I don't maybe fully agree with it, but I see maybe I can improve. That's great. I appreciate that's a great teaching for me. I could, like, for my humility, for my ability to be better. So if they say something that has some truth to it, thank you. No reason to be upset about it, because it's actually a kindness. And if they say something, a criticism or something, that doesn't land as true to me, like, I know it's not accurate, but it's their version of me, but it's not, I know it's not my reality. Then why be upset about it? Just let it fall off. Like, it's not real. It doesn't. So either way, why am I getting upset? Like, whether it's true or it's not true. Like, I can, you know, if it's not true, it's not true. Okay. Like, that's how you think. That's fine. And if it is true, I'll be like, that's, you know, something I can work on. So thank you. You know, that kind of an attitude. And for me, that's helped me, in a sense, be less kind of graspy at what people think and need it. Do you know what I mean? I'm not perfect, but it's, I don't mind failing. I don't mind making a, you know, fool of myself. And I'm just okay with me.
If I had to do it all over again, I wish at 20 years old somebody said to me, don't care what people think. That is...
And really worked on it.
Yeah.
You can say that
You can say that to yourself. No.
Really work on it.
Figure out a way to work on it.
That's great.
And have a therapist or whatever it is. Because I think by not working on that, a lot of heartache happened. You know, everything was about why that person say that, why they think that way. I'm going to prove them this way. And, you know, but it's also, for me, was kind of the double-edged sword, because on the one hand, it effed me, and on the other hand, it drove me. Okay, I'll show you.
That's interesting.
I'll show you, MFer. I don't know why I'm not swearing on YouTube.
I mean, I don't think
I think I don't want to swear in front of Cameron.
Yeah, that's right, because I'm so pure. So pure and...
But you understand, Cameron?
I do understand what you're
saying. So in a way, I became successful because of it, but I think my life has suffered, almost like mental illness. You know, people ask me about, you know, Sonny being bipolar, and I said, as a method actor, it's been great for my acting. But my life, just unhealthy, and a lot of turmoil, a lot of darkness and stuff. Okay, now on that note, we're not yet to the stuff, but you were in People magazine.
I was.
You didn't tell me this.
When was this now? I mean,
I don't know exactly when, but you were the eligible one of the most
eligible bachelor.
Yeah.
I wonder if I'll get back on that list now that I'm single again. Like, I mean, like I was.
How does that work?
I was on People magazine's most eligible bachelors back in, let me guess, 1999. It was a minute ago.
Could be.
And then I met Vanessa, who became my wife, and we had a beautiful marriage for many, many, many years, and recently been separated, but very close and good friends. And now I'm making a play with People magazine to get back on that most eligible. Imagine, imagine like the Golden Bachelor, Cameron Mathison. Maybe I'm not not golden enough yet, but maybe I'm the silver bachelor.
Well, golden, I think you got to be like in your 70s.
Oh, I see. Well, no.
You're way, Then maybe they'll have another category just for you.
Yeah. Maybe they'll have like a middling category, like not like the young 20-year-olds or whatever, and not the 70-year-olds.
So
Yeah, it's true. I was, yeah.
yeah, that's amazing. So these Hallmark movies you do and all that, how are they?
They're good. I was with Hallmark for a lot of years, and now I'm with Great American Family, who are amazing. And I got another one coming up. I'm going to shoot in the end of May. As far as I know, that we're going to work it out, kind of condense my shooting days because Drew's working a little more than he has been, which I'm excited about. But here's the thing: is that they're really fun to shoot. People love to watch them. They're very much like a soap opera, that they're an escape from reality, except that they're typically more positive and more predictable. I mean, there's a lot of positivity in General Hospital as well, but you know what I mean? Less drama, less mob. Nobody's shooting somebody in the middle of a rainstorm or something. And it's a really good, feel-good kind of connection with the audience, and there's something special about making Christmas movies, man.
How many have you done?
I've probably done about 25.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, I've probably done about 25 of them.
You've done 25?
Yeah, between ABC Family, Lifetime, Hallmark, and Great American Family. Yeah, for sure. Probably between, like, I'd say 23 and 28, somewhere in there. Yeah.
Wow, that's a ton.
I mean, I did 9 with Allison Sweeney in a series of movies, so that was just 9.
She was here. Allison's great.
Oh, yeah? You had Allison on?
Yeah.
She's great.
I love her.
Yeah,
Sweetheart.
She's a workhorse, man. She's an amazing producer, and she gets stuff done. It's incredible.
Yeah, she's great. So I watched something last night that's off the subject.
Oh, what were you watching?
Did you know that Charles Manson was a good singer?
How does your mind work? Wait, how did we go? Hold on. We were just talking about like Great American Family Christmas movies, pure, Christmas morning, opening the presents, and now we're talking about Charles Manson being a good singer.
Oh my!
You got to connect the dots.
I don't know. I was like, Charles Manson's face came to my mind.
Is it me? Is it like was it Drew? Is it Drew Quartermain? Like what?
Oh man, no, not Drew. Yeah, I mean, he was a good singer, and he almost made it as a singer.
That is what
came.
If Charles Manson made it as a singer, how would things have been different? If he all of a sudden became a big pop singer.
Yeah, then he wouldn't have. I don't think he would have murdered all these people. He
wouldn't have been a cult leader, and
he still might have been a cult leader, though.
Yeah, maybe.
But I don't think he would have been stupid enough to be a pop singer and then do what he
send his people out to do all.
But the singing, I got to tell you, and somebody from the Beach Boys came in and said, "Damn!" And the next step, and he came close until they said, because he could sing. All right, let's get into.
I just want to do one more second. That was one of the most amazing tangents that I've ever experienced in my life.
It was great.
It was an incredible tangent. Like that. That's well done.
You see that? You've never seen that.
That was amazing. And by the way, like felt perfectly normal. In place. Yeah.
Hallmark, Charles Manson.
Yeah. I don't know how that happened.
It was just like together. All right, I want to talk about.
I love it.
The last year.
Okay.
But I just want you to take me on the journey, and then I'll talk when I talk, and then but you just like you're sitting, in somebody's office, therapy or whatever, and just what happened to you from a year up to now?
I would probably go a tiny bit more than a year ago.
Okay, good.
If that's all right.
I'd love to.
Last few years.
How about since doing my show?
Yes, doing your show. So on your show, we talked about my cancer journey and how I kind of got through my own cancer.
Oh, yes.
Did we?
Yes.
I think we did.
Yeah, we did. And you were a kid with...
Yeah, we talked about my childhood degenerative bone disease and then getting into kidney cancer and how I kind of use these. And then since then, my mom got cancer and passed away, which we talked about at Graceland. So I've talked about both of those things
Right.
on my 2 different appearances. But then since
Well,
then,
let's how your mother dying.
Yeah.
I want to know how you dealt with grief.
yeah, it was really, really tough. Unfortunately, I'm sure a lot of people know that. I would say that my ability to deal with that grief came from first, probably and foremost, like a lot of gratitude for my life with her and how an incredible woman and mother she was, and
Okay.
focusing on her and her life and what life was like for her. So getting the attention off of like, poor me, what about me? And thinking about my beautiful and kind and generous mother. And then from there also like a deep acceptance of reality, and there's a patience to that. So just really accepting that she's gone and that I can just be grateful and stay in this sort of beautiful, positive memory of her life and what she gave to me, while accepting that now she's gone. And then also one of the most powerful ways for me to deal with grief and loss is also thinking about how others, millions, billions of people have been through this as well, and how there's so many people that can relate to this pain, and to use my experience of that grief and pain to like have better compassion and love and care for others. So all of those practices are typically like getting out of this tight microscope of like, I can't believe this is happening to me. Well, believe it, because it's happening. Accept it.
Mm-hmm.
Try to stay in these places of gratitude, find things to be grateful for, and then also try to think about others, like others going through the same exact thing and way worse.
Yeah.
And by doing that, but by doing that in a skillful, wise way, not in a way where you're going to like, oh, I can't even handle other people's pain because I'm worried about my pain. Like move yourself out of it and just like think about others and send them love and have compassion for them and use that experience to feel closer to others. And it actually, and I'll get to this later too. So there's the outer problem and then there's the inner problem. There's the outer conditions, what we label problem. And then there's the inner problem that is like the unpeaceful mind and the agitated mind and the anger and the fear and the confusion and the anxiety and the depression and the attachment and addiction. And we do what we can about the outer problem and the outer conditions, trying to fix it and solve it. Of course, it's not like we ignore that. But the real problem is the inner problem.
Mm-hmm.
And so I focus on trying to bring a more peaceful, clear, loving, compassionate, patient, accepting mind, which helps my inner problem of pain and anxiety and depression and fear, etc. It brings peace to my mind, brings meaning to my life, because I'm like training now with my inner qualities. And now that inner problem isn't a problem anymore. It's like an opportunity for inner growth. So is the outer conditions that I labeled problem, is it really a problem or is it an opportunity?
Or is it what you think
Yeah.
what you're thinking it is at the outer?
That's all
That's
it
all
is.
it is,
Is
yeah.
what is our perception.
I know, right.
That's all we have.
Right.
So as I change my perception of the outer stuff, the outer stuff changes, because all we have is our perception of it, right? All
Right.
we have is our awareness of what,
Right.
of like my version of you right now is different than my version of you that I had when we didn't really know each other. We
Right.
hadn't connected on this level and things. And,
Right.
and as my, all I have is my perception of you, and all somebody else has is their perception of you,
Yes.
and vice versa. But as our mind changes, and I hear about your pain and your struggles and how you're transforming them through this podcast to help others and to help heal the world and people,
Right.
that's going to change my perception. There's,
Yes.
you know what I'm trying to say?
Yes.
So when I go through something like the loss of my mother, or as we'll get into other things, I really try to use the best I can. Obviously, there's moments where I'm just spiraling and I'm in my pain and I'm in my grief and my loss. But then when I'm really in my wise mind, I try to use that experience to develop gratitude, compassion, acceptance, love, and then from that, reframe and almost kind of change the past in a sense because you're changing the way that you relate to it. So yeah, I don't know if that makes sense or it sounds flighty or whatever, but
No, it makes sense to me. It's without jumping into your movie here. I get all that, and I'm starting to work on that. It's like, and I don't want to say, but this is good to help people in the audience. When you're mentally ill, there's a switch that goes on that makes people's normal grief, it jumps 3 times harder. That's the shit that I don't want to have.
So what do you do when that happens? Because I think even if somebody's whatever scale, I think there's mental health issues like a wide scale of it. So I think people can relate to that. Sometimes something that would seem small to somebody else.
Right. That's what it is.
It's just our sort of like what I'd say our karma with it. It's like our like it just is a trigger. And so what do you do when it's an exponential jump?
I'm going to go with what you just relayed beautifully is what just happened to me. Okay? So about a month ago, I had this was a little anxiety, not the kind that is going to take me out or anything, but it was little anxiety, and I'm walking and it's Freddy Krueger, He's come to play. He's knocking on the door. I'm coming, and I can almost see him. I'm like, oh, so the anxiety's kind of there. So I'm like, oh, damn. And everything was going fine. I go out to the gazebo. I read Eckhart Tolle, The Power Now.
Beautiful.
And I read this for you guys. Pain loves pain. Pain despises joy. So when we're happy, this shit don't happen. Okay, so something's
no
up.
Room for both, right?
Right. So then I read, don't run. Stay in it. Embrace whatever that thing is. Because ultimately, it's just a feeling coming from what, like you said, the thoughts. It's the movie in our head that says, oh no, anxiety's back. I'm going to have to not go to work for 2 weeks again. Oh, no, now I'm in big No, don't go there. Just say, come on. And then I went to work out, hit the bag for like 40 minutes.
Amazing.
40 minutes out of my thoughts, gone. I don't think that's happened that quick.
That's incredible.
So now I'm saying to myself, okay, I did call my therapist and my psychiatrist, but...
Yeah.
Now,
I want you to keep going. So what we're hearing so far, me and everybody at home, is that the first thing you did is a spiritual reading. You went to a book, Eckhart Tolle, or whatever it is for you, the Bible, or people can read Dharma, whatever it is. So you went to something that you knew was going to like bring some wisdom to you.
Yes.
Then secondly, you did something physical, like something that you love.
Yes.
Hit the bag, move your body, kind of get out of your own head. Then you also called a therapist and your psychiatrist. So those are unbelievable tools so far. So that's what we're hearing so far. Like those are the big takeaways. That's amazing.
But Cameron, you have to understand that before, like 9 months ago, when I had that major thing, I didn't have a team. I didn't have those tools.
Yeah, those are incredible.
I was by myself.
And that's why that anxiety didn't jump exponentially, or you noticed it. And that's one of the most amazing takeaways, I think, also from what you do here, is allowing people just to be aware and feel like if we can catch the anxiety or the fear or the negativity, or if, like, let's say if you struggle with addiction, you can catch that addict kind of rising early and have tools quickly like those, then you got a fighting shot.
Right.
You got a chance. Like it's like my analogy.
That's true.
Is like a huge stone
That's
ball
true.
at the top of a hill.
Yeah.
And you can feel it starting to creep over the edge.
Yeah.
At the beginning, you can probably just use one, maybe two hands and hold it up. You're like, oh, no. Let's go back into place.
Yeah.
That's sort of like catching it early.
Same thing.
But when that thing starts rolling, man, it'll just roll right over you. Right?
That's right, Cameron. That's exactly right. Where, look, I have to say to myself when that shit starts, it's just a feeling that won't kill you.
It's just a feeling.
Just
It's
a
like
feeling.
Cloud in the readings I take, it's like a cloud in the sky of your mind. Just like a cloud doesn't have the power to destroy the sky, the nature of the sky.
Right.
A thought or feeling does not have the power to destroy our whole mind. So it's just, it appears like a cloud, feelings, thoughts, whatever. And if you just allow it, it'll dissolve away like a cloud into the sky.
That's right.
And that's sort of like a meditation that you can do if you have feelings come up, and just let it go and let it dissipate.
That's
and let
right.
it, like dissolve away. Because
That's
it's
right.
just a thought. Like that's beautiful.
Because I take the analogy, and I think people are probably tired of it, but I'll say it anyway, of gears. You know, I think we have to keep our life in first, second gear. Maybe you can go to third. Don't go to fourth, fifth, and sixth, because that's where I've been too many times. And like you said, once that starts rolling, you can't rein it back. And then you need help, professional help.
Yeah.
Because you can do stuff between first, second, and third. You can do what we're all talking about, you know. It's just a feeling, stay in it, go work out. But you can't in fifth gear. Maybe
got you now.
some people can. I haven't been able to, and
It's got you now. Now you're just going to have to ride it out. Or,
Exactly.
You know, good luck. Because, you know, and that's, maybe people have tools for when it gets really intense, but, you know, and it has for me recently. And sometimes you just got to like ride it out when it gets there and you haven't caught it early, you know.
well, yeah, but
Yeah. But I know writing it out for you is a different thing
it's a
than
different
writing it out for me, right? So
that's I tell people who aren't mentally ill they should kiss the ground because that pain is I hate to say it, but I'll say it since we're having deep talk right now. It's demonic. That darkness that comes.
I'm sorry, man.
Yeah, but it is what it is. Thank you. It's that feeling of it's scary. It's fucking frightening. Whoo. All right, let's keep going a little bit.
No, but
This is
very
great
honest.
talk.
It's very
This
honest,
is
very
good talk,
open.
brother.
Yeah.
I love
So you asked me about the last year. I kind of got a little tangent, but essentially the last year and a bit, as you know, cancer. And my mom had cancer, and she passed away. And then COVID happened, and then somebody very, 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 very near, one of the most important people in my life, went through a life-threatening drug scare and addiction, and that was incredibly hard and scary. And then I lost my job at Home and Family. That got canceled. And then after that, my wife of 22 years and I, things really started falling apart in a very kind of, challenging and hurtful way. And then eventually separation and going through divorce. And then my dog got cancer and became paralyzed and eventually passed away. And then my kids moved out for college. And then I pull up on January 8th to our house in Altadena, and this beautiful 4,500 square foot house that I've been built and cherished and renovated, and my kids were raised in, and every piece of evidence of my life and their life was in, and it was burning to the ground, and it's gone. And in that moment, I had lost, my marriage, and I'd lost my dog, and I'd lost my house and my possessions, and my childhood, and I'd lost my mom, and it was a real, I'm just going to say this because, as you know, I am a very positive and resilient guy. This has been really hard. It's an interesting and hard to explain type of loss. Like it's very bizarre to explain to people that haven't been through it. We can cognitively try to understand, but unless you're through it, it's like that was sort of my foundation in my life when everything had been falling apart around me. I love that house, and I did everything. Vanessa and I did everything to renovate every square inch. My kids were raised there, and I was in the process of like buying Vanessa out of it because I really wanted to stay in my kids' life and mine. I was going to have retreats there, and it was, as my life was kind of slipping away in many ways, it was like this foundation for me. It really was. I didn't realize it. And then as I pulled up, and now that's gone too. And not only is that gone, everything I owned, everything was gone. In my whole life, childhood photos, trophies from a kid, Father's Day cards for 21 years, kids' toys, my college basketball jersey, everything that was evidence of my life was now gone except for the phone I had, my car that drove me there, and the clothes I was wearing. And that was, you know, we talked about, like, it felt like, and I'm sure people can relate to this, like my reality, what I know to be true wasn't matching reality.
Damn.
Like there was a huge disconnect there. Like it's so jarring. And I have a video of me finding the house because I was doing it for Vanessa when I was going up there because we wanted to check to see how our house was because we were watching the news and houses around us were burning. And I was like, we couldn't see our house. So I just drove up in the middle of the fire all around me to video this. And I could and I mute it whenever I show people because I've never heard sounds like that come out of me. It was like I was gasping in shock.
Wow.
It was so bizarre. I don't know what the sounds were, to be honest, but I know what they were coming from, and it was that disconnect. And people will say it's just stuff or, you know, lost in a moment. I lost probably $2 million. So there's the financial aspect. That's really, it's a lot of money for me.
Yeah.
My family. There's the stuff, there's the sentimental things, like things that my mom gave me, things that Vanessa had a box of, her dad's passed away a long time ago, and she had a box of all her dad's stuff. Like things that you can't replace, tons of things you cannot replace, mostly things you can't replace. And then just this weird, surreal feeling of being upside down in the world with no foundation. I stayed with Vanessa for a while, but eventually I just, you know, I wanted to kind of have my own space, and, you know, I'm sure she wanted to have her own space, you know, because we'd been separated now for almost, you know, a year and a half, 2 years. And although this experience brought us much closer together for sure, I was like kind of living out of my car where like I had a bag of now clothes that people had given me and coming to GH and just trying to be normal and doing my work.
Yeah.
And like being, hey guys, how you doing? Yeah, I'm fine. Yeah, it's like but it was like, it's surprisingly to me so much harder than I thought it would be.
And your kids.
My kids are devastated because everything that I've been through, all this is like me. They're kids. They've been through their dad having cancer, losing their grandmother, COVID happening, you know, this stretch, their parents that they like cherished and had on a pedestal because we had a beautiful marriage for a long time, and they saw this and they used to talk to us about it. You know, things happened, things changed, it fell apart. That broke their hearts. Then the dog dying, and then now their house, like these are kids, these like 18 and 21-year-old kids. I mean, they're adults, but.
Yeah, but they're kids.
And that's for sure the hardest part is just like bins and bins and bins of film of their birth, of their early years, videos, 8mm videos of them and babies in the bathtub, and all of those things are like they're gone. No way to get them back. So I'm not trying to be dramatic. I'm just saying like
No, you just facts.
It's just really, it's been, even for a resilient guy who's been through a lot, it's been extremely hard, to be honest. Really hard. Still, like, as you saw, like, it's very emotional.
I don't think there's any, I think you've pretty much said everything that.
What I will say, if I can just piggyback
for
a second, is that I'll say that the 3 practices I told you about grief is what's getting me through it. Like trying to think about others, because we all know that thousands of people are going through this right now in LA and around the world probably, as bad or worse. Like at least we did have some insurance. We were massively underinsured, but some people had no insurance. I just did an event for Habitat for Humanity, Habitat LA, who's helping people that were massively underinsured or no insurance. And then, so I think about others and care about, and use this experience to like feel close to others. And then also you just got to accept it. There's like, acceptance is powerful, especially if you do it with a real, not
You're
like
right.
accepting like, I got to accept it.
No, you're right.
Real patient acceptance.
Right.
Happening. Okay. That allows you to be solution oriented. What do I do now? Okay, this is happening. I can feel the pain and the grief, and I do, but I also can focus on the solution. So we talked about the inner problem and the outer problem. I'm working on the inner problem, and then now what can I do? Are we rebuilding? Are we getting the debris removal? I'm talking to insurance adjusters. I'm talking to lawyers. I'm talking to architects. I'm submitting plans. These are all logistics that are so outrageous.
Yeah.
So outrageous. And so, I'm getting through that. And then also gratitude is like, there's just tons to be grateful for. So those are my 3 main practices too, just gratitude, acceptance, compassion to get through it. That's all. I didn't want to only dwell on the problem.
No, I understand.
I also want to talk about the solution.
Well, and I'm glad you did, and I'm glad because that helps people.
Yeah, I hope so.
To have tools. I'm going to talk to the audience for a second.
Yep.
Cameron laid it out in this interview, and so he had, I don't know, it was so fun, but also so deep. And when you go see a movie that's fun and deep, it's a great movie. That's just the way it is for me. But he opened himself up at the end like a champ, and just to tell he didn't have to talk. I didn't tell him to talk about anything. He was the one that talked about everything. And I was moved. I hope you were moved. And I think this shows me, and I don't want to get too dramatic, but this image has come into my mind twice. And it's Jesus. Whether you believe in Jesus or you believe in what, it doesn't really matter, but what Jesus had to go through to get to the cross, what Cameron's had to go through, I wish on no one. Especially on anyone who can't take it. He seems to have the strength and the will to be able to take anything until, like he just said, it got him. So anyway, thank you, man.
Thank you, brother. Love you, man.
Love you, brother.